Hello, everybody, and welcome to our virtual town hall meeting to meet the District 4 candidates. I hope you have found us on YouTube Live. Anybody who misses any part of it, the full video will be available on YouTube as soon as this town hall is done. Before we get things started, we're going to be welcomed by Rabbi Yosef Weinstock, the Rabbi of Young Israel of Hollywood, Fort Lauderdale. Welcome, Rabbi Weinstock.
Thank you, Avi, and welcome everyone who's joining in on this virtual town hall meeting. I wish everyone a Shana Tova. It's the beginning of the Jewish New Year. I wish you a healthy and meaningful and sweet new year. Although we're up to Rosh Hashanah on the Jewish calendar, as I was thinking about this event, I thought about Passover, because you see what we celebrate on Passover is freedom. And the Jewish people received freedom as they left Egypt. And when they left Egypt, they miraculously crossed the Red Sea. And at that point, they open their mouths and sing. And Jewish tradition teaches us that freedom is expressed through our voices. Right? The freedom to voice our opinions and to listen to other opinions, that is real freedom. And that's probably why Jews have not only survived, but thrived and enjoyed the freedoms that are afforded to all peoples here in the great state of Florida and in this great country, the United States, where we can exercise our right to express our voices and be free in that way. And how important it is to exercise those freedoms through the power of the ballot and to vote and to be an educated voter. And so it's wonderful to have that opportunity to be educated. Another thing we learned from the story of the Exodus from Egypt is the role of leadership. And I just wanted to conclude my remarks by commending all of the candidates for this position for not just talking, but rolling up their sleeves and expressing a willingness and an interest in contributing, seeing a problem and trying to solve it. I also wanted to express gratitude to office holders that are already holding office and have already demonstrated leadership to our community over these years. I wanted to mention our current District 4 Commissioner, Commissioner Blattner, and express our tremendous gratitude for all of his work on behalf of our community and the relationship that we've developed over the years. And I also wanted to thank and introduce our mayor of this great city of Hollywood, Mayor Josh Levy, to take the program from here. Wishing everyone a Shana Tova, and thank you for tuning in.
Well, thank you, Rabbi. And thank you, everybody. It's great to be a part of this. And Avi invited me to do a little bit of an introduction here. And what I thought I'd do is of course, welcome the candidates. Thank Rabbi Weinstock and the community for hosting this educational forum, and tell you just a very brief little bit about the way in which Hollywood city government is formed. You might know, of course, our city is about 95 years old, incorporated in 1925. With the vision of being a resort city that be home to everybody from the top of the economic and social ladder down to the most humble of working men, were the words of our city's founder, J.W. Young, in the 1920s. Fast forward 95 years, here we are after incorporation, and the city has about, well, we'll find out from the census. Let me plug the census real quick. If you haven't completed the census, please do so. It's how cities get some funding over the next decade in terms of the numbers of residents that we have and how federal and state allocations are made. So please fill out the U.S. Census, 9 questions, pretty easy for your household. But the city is managed, of course, in a commission manager form of government. We have about 150,000 residents in Hollywood, and the city is divided up into 6 election districts. You guys are District 4, of course. Each district is about 25,000 residents. And each one of those districts, of course, elects a commissioner, and including the mayor. We form a 7-person body that is the legislative body of the city. called the City Commission, of course. We meet twice a month and have workshops and other meetings to set the direction and approve all of the expenditures of the city that are within our purview. Beyond our legislative work and our policy making for the city is run day by day and day to day by over 1,300 employees that are led by the city manager. He's our hired CEO, so to speak. And so that's the way Hollywood government runs, as a commission manager form of government, very similar to most governments, most local governments in the United States. Here we are 95 years later, going into 2020 and beyond. And of course, each year that a city commission is the shepherd of the city, we have to, of course, collectively make good decisions to steer the city in the right direction, reacting to both challenges and opportunities. Of course, our mission is to create a thriving community where quality living is available to all. That's our mission statement. And we achieve that through some core values in the work that we do. Integrity, professionalism, spirit of innovation is really important, teamwork and pride in what we do as city leadership and as a workforce here. And we all work together to achieve certain strategic goals. That's to be the best that we can and seize opportunities when it comes to communications and civic engagement, economic vitality, making sure the city is competitive, both residentially and commercially, developing our employees and making sure we have a good, smart workforce that manages, all the taxes that we pay and the work that what we do as residents. Financial management and administration is key to any successful enterprise. Same here with the city, infrastructure and facilities. The city, of course, has a lot to manage, and together with our partners at the county and the state, we have a lot to work with, and we, of course, strive to make ever greater improvements in our aging infrastructure and accommodate the needs of the city. Public safety is certainly one of our most primary responsibilities, providing for a safe city and reliable emergency services. You have that in Hollywood Police and Hollywood Fire Rescue. Of course, quality of life in strong neighborhoods. That goes to the core of how people interact with their city on a daily basis. It's the services that the city provides in keeping up neighborhoods and providing quality services beyond just, of course, looking forward and setting policy going forward. And last, of course, is resilience and sustainability, both environmental resilience and sustainability, and also financial and fiscal sustainability. When you have things like COVID-19 that affect your city and it disrupt its typical flow of revenue and expenditure, it's good to have, of course, and important to have a sustainable and very solid budget and reserve to work with. And we are AA rated by the bonding agencies and have made great strides to make this city fiscally sound. And so a lot is in the works. I want to welcome the candidates. Avi, I hope I didn't overstay my welcome here with how long I've been speaking. But thank you and welcome to everybody. And I hope you find a great educational forum tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Fortunately, Mayor, there was no timer for when you spoke. So I'll be sure to turn it on for the candidates. But you were great. Thank you so much. Hi, everybody, and welcome. And a very happy U.S. voter registration day. My name is Avi Fryer. I am the Director of Youth, Adult, and Family Programming at Young Israel of Hollywood, Fort Lauderdale. And I planned this event before COVID-19. I sent an email back in late February, early March to all the candidates telling them, mark your calendar for this date. And the hope was that we were going to have a live event packing everyone into the synagogue, people from the community, as well as members of the synagogue. And I'm thrilled that you could all be here virtually, but I look forward to the opportunity to interact with each of you in person again very soon. I just want to give a few little introductory things that I need to share. Number one, a few people have mentioned to us that the question of how we can have a political event considering our nonprofit status, and it's really very simple. We are not allowed to endorse a candidate, but we are allowed to have a town hall such as this one where we give everybody an equal opportunity to speak to us about I think it's not only something we're allowed to do as a nonprofit, but it's something that it's our responsibility to do as a community organization. So for that reason, and also out of respect for the candidates, in choosing which questions to ask from the many I received from many of you who are watching right now, I've only focused on the questions that ask all of the candidates for their opinion on an issue that affects all of us. And I've pretty much ignored questions that inherently either endorse or attack one candidate. I also am not going to fact check or throw my own opinion into the conversation. I didn't think it went well when Lester Holt tried to do that, and he's much better at this than I am, so I'm not going to try that at all. As far as the rules, the ground rules of the meeting, it's like this. The candidates are going to be called upon in a rotating order to answer each question. Each candidate will have 1 minute to answer each question. And the candidates who speak first and second will have an optional 1 minute rebuttal after all three have spoken. There will be a timer on display. Let me put that on now. And at the end of 1 minute, when time is up, I will say so. And then after a 10-second grace period, I will mute the speaker's mic. If you're curious as to where the questions have come from, there are a few that I prepared in advance. There are many that were sent to me by members of the synagogue as well as people in the community. And at my discretion, I may ask questions that have been posted by viewers in the YouTube Live page. And there's a comments area where you can post your comments. You can put your questions in there. I'm going to choose these questions based on a couple of different criteria. Do they cover a topic that has not yet been discussed? We don't want to rehash the same things over and over again. And if not, do they seek a fresh viewpoint on an already discussed topic? Are they phrased in a manner that it's respectful and that does not show partiality to one candidate over another? And that will also be if we have time. And then after the last question has been asked, answered, and rebutted, I'll call upon each candidate to deliver a 2-minute closing statement. So let's, enough of me, let's get to our candidates. I'm going to start by introducing each one using bios that they provided to me. So these are your candidates in their own words. Dick Blattner was born and raised in Lima, Ohio. And after serving 2 years in the after graduating from the University of Wisconsin, he served 2 years in the United States Army in Korea. His career in business equipment took him from Chicago to Springfield, Illinois, then to San Francisco, and finally landing in Broward County, where he put down roots, marrying the love of his life, Bunny, raising 2 boys, starting his own printing and promotions business, which he kept for nearly 25 years. Dick and Bunny now have 4 grandchildren, and on December 8th, 2019, they greeted their first great-grandchild, Amelia. Dick has lived in Emerald Hills for 20 years and currently serves as our District 4 Commissioner. Next, Adam Gruber. Bar mitzvahed at Young Israel of Hollywood, Fort Lauderdale, where I am sitting right now, in 1987, and a graduate of Hollywood Hills High School, Adam has had his feet planted in Hollywood for his entire life. After earning a master's degree in athletic administration, Adam went on to be the camp director at Browser Maimonides Academy, the director of operations for the Delray Beach Open, and produced many pregame and halftime shows for professional and college sporting events. Since 2013, Adam has served as the executive director of Radius Resource Group, a security company that specializes in executive protection. Adam is the proud father of 3 kids, Hadara, Atalia, and Micha, and has a deep commitment to the betterment of our community. Welcome, Adam. And finally, I'd like to welcome Guy Silla. Guy has been a resident of Hollywood for the past 18 years with his wife, Sarah, and his 2 sons, Jason and Chance. He's been in the construction business for 32 years, and with his experience dealing with contracts, schedules, municipalities, employees, and all those other things, he has a defined understanding of what it takes to create and get the job completed. He believes in being part of the community and working together to solve issues in our district. Guy says, together, we can make a difference and keep Hollywood the best it can be. So please welcome Guy Silla. All right. I've already introduced you, so you don't need to introduce yourselves, although you will have the opportunity to do that a little bit with this first question. So I just want to get my timer in place here. There we go. Our first question tonight comes to us, and I said that we would be in a rotation. And so the first question will be first for Commissioner Blattner, and then for Adam, and then for Guy. So Gary Bagliebter of Emerald Hills asks all of our candidates, what makes you the best qualified candidate to represent District 4, and what city activities, such as boards, committees, etc., have you been involved in over the past 5 years? Dick, you're first. You'll need to unmute.
Thank you for the question, Gary and Avi. This is a time when maturity really counts. We're going to be facing some severe economic difficulties with the fact that COVID has had a major impact on the revenues the city will produce. At the same time, we have a lot of economic development opportunities that will be very beneficial to the city. And all of this requires a lot of maturity and experience from someone who has a lot of experience and maturity. I think the last part of that question was activities I've been involved with the last 5 years are mostly things related to the county. Chairman of the Broward Metropolitan Planning Organization, serving on the Planning Council for Broward County, the Water Advisory Board, chairman of the YMCA of Broward County, as well as the YMCA in Hollywood. And that's just for starters.
All right. Next, we go to Adam. Adam, you're muted. Why don't the three of you unmute, and then we shouldn't have a problem.
Sorry about that. So what makes me the best to run for city commissioner and be the next city commissioner? I have deep roots here in Hollywood. I have a personal connection to the city of Hollywood, especially Emerald Hills. I've been living here for 42 years. My parents live here. My children live here. I'm raising them, my friends and family. And you know, what I see over the last 10 to 15 years is a district that's really being run down, lacking attention to detail. Our sidewalks are impassable, especially on 46th Avenue, which I walked several times over the holiday. I couldn't even get by them. Our parks need attention. And it seems like a lot has been lacking with regards to attention to our district. I've been in the private sector doing a lot of work for most of my career, and I want to take those skills and bring them here to Hollywood to help our district survive and just do better. And as far as involvement with city stuff, I'm on the board at Chabad of Ocean Beach, and I run all.
Time's up.
Yep.
You can go. You have a 10-second leeway, but then I have to mute you. But
Sorry about that. With philanthropic endeavors and organizations.
all right, there we
Chabad
go.
Hollywood.
Now we're done. All right, Guy.
Yes. What makes me the best candidate is I'm a resident of Hollywood for the past 18 years. I've lived here previously before that. I've been in the construction business for 30 years now, plus. I'm a general contractor, so I deal with municipalities throughout the Dade and Broward County. I work close with the building departments, engineers, and I think since we have this $165 million GO bond, and most of it is infrastructure and building new facilities, I think that's what I would bring to the table is my experience to be able to read blueprints and know the fundamentals about the buildings being built.
All right. I don't think we need any rebuttal on this one. This was just a sort of an intro question to get us started. So now let's go to the next question, which will be first for Guy, and then Dick, and then Adam. This question comes to us. I should be on the right page. This question comes to us from several people in Emerald Hills who asked about the beautification of 46th Avenue the landscaping on the wall on Sterling Road, and a few mentioned a flooding issue on 46th Avenue. I think this all comes back to our infrastructure, our beautification. What are your plans as commissioner to improve these areas of our community? We start with Guy.
Well, I was actually on 46th Ave yesterday after the heavy rains, and I can agree there was several flooding areas along the west side of the road and the east side where it actually almost took over the one lane. I think they're actually doing good infrastructure, and they are building new sewers and new drains throughout the area. And unfortunately, they can only go and work as fast as you can. Sidewalks, on the other hand, are in a disarray because I live in the Lakes of Emerald Hills and they have trip hazards. And if you walk along Dixie Highway, there's broken sidewalks. And I think we just need to get in there and start actually doing work to fix these things and to sub the contracts out.
All right. You come right to the end of your time there. And next is Dick.
Yes, well, I was really surprised when I noticed that they planted shrubbery along the wall on Sterling Road. But I will tell you that I think it's been great. It looks good. And we don't get the graffiti on the wall because you really can't get through to do that. We've also, as a part of the general obligation bond, agreed to extend that wall on 46th from Sterling to, I think it's almost to North Hills. Whether that'll be landscaped or not, I can't say. We have a tremendous program for infrastructure, particularly, and I thank you for mentioning it, Guy. Water and sewer lines are being redone all the time. It's interesting that most of the flooding, if you go back 3 hours later, the water's gone because the soil percolates everything out. So the medians on 46th are a problem. A lot of that would be addressed by the general obligation bond and the surtax. So I think that used my time.
All right. And Adam, you're muted.
Sorry. With regards to 46th Avenue, with the landscaping, the medians, we can talk about what we're going to do, but it's surprising that we really haven't done anything yet because it's really looked pretty bad for quite a long time. I mentioned it in my intro there. When walking from Andrews, which is the entrance to the townhouses of Emerald Hills, and all the way to North Hills Drive, that sidewalk's not even passable. It's one of the worst sidewalks I've ever seen. I think Guy alluded it to as well. The tripping hazards, the palms are coming into the sidewalk. There's garbage there. With regards to flooding, another thing that we're just kind of being reactive to, the 2001 citywide master plan addressed, one of the things that we should address was flooding and drainage. And it's almost 20 years later and we're still talking about it. So, it's time to activate and get these things done. There is money in the general obligation bond that needs to be funneled into the landscaping.
All right. Guy, if you have any rebuttal, you're first.
No, I don't really have any rebuttal because I went back to 46 today and the roads were drained pretty significant where they're compared to yesterday. And the city is doing a good job with the drainage. It just takes time because it is construction and it has to go through a process.
All right. Dick?
I'm fine, Avi. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Our next question comes to us from Steve Kurtz in Emerald Hills. I actually learned something from this question, something I didn't know about. Steve sent me an email saying that 30 municipalities and counties are engaged in a legal fight with the state of Florida, arguing that an appeals court should reject a 2011 state law that threatens tough penalties if local elected officials approve gun regulations that are tougher than those already in place at the state level. Fort Lauderdale, Weston, Miami-Dade, and Broward counties are among those participating in the lawsuit. Steve wants to know, why is Hollywood not participating? And if elected, would you move to participate? We start this one with Adam.
If I'm elected, would I choose to participate in a lawsuit that the counties are getting together fighting the state? I'm sorry, Avi, can you repeat that question?
Yes, it's a legal fight with the state of Florida that is arguing to reject a state law that threatens penalties if cities or counties were to enact gun laws that are tougher, making it harder to get guns than those already in place at the state level.
I got you. I think the cities and counties should be able to enact, their different restrictions on the gun laws.
Okay, so you would join that.
I would consider joining that. I'd have to see the language of it. I would consider joining that, but that's
Okay.
something I'd really have to make myself familiar with. I have to see the language of that legal battle.
Okay. Guy, you're next.
I don't think I would join that, honestly. I think the state should have the obligation to dictate what the state laws should be. And I don't think, because if you start getting into individual counties and cities and towns, it's just going to make just too much confusion. And going from one city to the next city as a concealed weapon, to have a concealed weapons permit, it's just going to make everything just, you won't know where to go and what you can do and how to do it. I think it should stay at the state level.
Okay. And Dick?
Well, Guy is right. Part of the reason why this hasn't gone anywhere is we have 67 counties, God knows how many cities, and everybody would have their own law. You'd never know which to enforce. But the principle of this was that it took away some home rule issues for the cities that might have enabled them to change licensing laws or do the red flag laws and so forth that we wanted to do. When Weston and the county brought this forward, we debated it, we supported it, but didn't feel that it was necessary for us to add our name to it. But as you know, the state has some very strong feelings about gun control that are not necessarily shared by metropolitan areas. It's a very serious problem when hundreds of people in Miami are killed every year. Random shootings, just 2 last week.
All right. Any Adam and Guy, you can rebut if there's anything that you feel you'd like to, Adam?
Yeah, I mean, with regards to the gun laws, it should be held at a state level and the state can regulate it, which they do. And I wasn't familiar with that lawsuit, and I do think that the state should regulate, and that's how it is, and that's how it should be.
Okay, and Guy?
I don't have any rebuttal.
All right. Our next question comes to us from Shai Gutleiser of here in Emerald Hills. I had mentioned in the beginning that some of these questions were coming from me. I was very pleased. I wrote this question and then he asked almost the exact same thing. So I'd rather give someone else the credit. But effective October 1st, our sanitation fees are going to increase by almost 6.5%. But the pickup of bulk waste is going to drop from weekly to a monthly pickup. As a commissioner, what will you do to ensure that increased costs do not go hand in hand with decreased services? Before I call on Dick and then Guy and then Adam to answer this question, to be fair, I want to explain what this decrease of services is. Until now, we've had weekly commingled waste pickup where it's yard waste and hard junk together, and they were picked up every single week. And going forward, it will no longer be commingled. We will still have the weekly yard waste pickup, but the hard junk, which is things like furniture, appliances, mattresses, will only be allowed to be put out once a month. Still, it is a decrease in services for an increase in price. And Dick, you are first.
Well, thanks, Avi. You gave a good introduction there. First of all, we have contracts with our haulers that have increases built into them, and this is part of that. It's also part of the process to improve the efficiency to hold down costs in the future. Emerald Hills is interesting because a lot of people have landscape services that come along, trim bushes, cut the grass and so forth, and then let it pile up in the street. They're supposed to have the landscaper pick that up and remove it, but the landscaper doesn't do it because he has a cost involved of dumping it. He doesn't want to pass that on. I think this is going to work. And one thing everybody has to be patient about is that our current provider, which is Waste Pro, has had a lot of problems with employees tested with COVID, and they're behind schedule, and we know it. But they are paying fines in the over $50,000 in fines for their inaction and their inattentiveness.
All right. Guy, you're next.
Well, I think as long as we keep the as Dick said, there are landscapers that just pile up the debris outside because they don't want the extra cost. As I know, going to the dump with debris costs money and takes from the bottom line. So, and then I understand why we should have once a month pickup for furniture and stuff, because people just throw everything outside constantly, and it just doesn't make the neighborhood look good. And Waste Pro, who is the service provider now, should be held accountable if they aren't doing the services. And that's just a cost of doing business. If you can't supply something, then you should be penalized and fined, because that'll make you do a better job when it hits your bottom line.
All right. Adam?
Yes. So my understanding with regards to the new schedule, brush pickup is going to remain the same once a week. There's not going to be any less service with regards to brush pickup, and it's the bulk pickup that's going to once a month. But the increase is happening to the cubic yards of what you can put up for bulk pickup. And I agree with it, because what happens is once you have a once a week, you tell people the pickup is on Tuesday, everyone starts putting it out on Sunday or Saturday. And if it's once a week, you're typically driving through the streets and there's just always garbage. There's couches, there's whatnot out there. So I'm okay with the increase in the cubic yards, less frequent. And as far as brush, I don't really, there's no change from what I understand. The increase in price of 6%, any increase is tough. And, as city commissioner, you sit there and you try to keep those costs down, and you do the best you can.
All right. Any rebuttal, Dick?
Yeah, I would just like to say this, not a rebuttal. It just occurred to me that last year we changed the pickup cycles in Emerald Hills with respect to the Orthodox community. We no longer pick it up on Shabbos. That became a real problem for the community, and we have changed the schedules for their convenience.
All right. And Guy?
Nope, no rebuttal.
Okay. We're moving right through this. We might get to every question. This question comes from me. Do you have a plan to, as commissioner, how will you help Hollywood's small businesses and families recover from financial losses that they've suffered during COVID-19? This question is first for Adam, then for Dick, then for Guy.
How will we help families that have suffered from losses for COVID-19? I think we're in a really crazy time right now. Obviously, people have suffered losses as far as deaths in the family, whether it's mental health issues from social isolation and losing people. Our small businesses are suffering. Our local economy is suffering. And we're just going to have to pull out every resource we can to help everyone that's going through this stuff, whether it's helping people who have suffered loss through mental health counseling and putting resources towards that, or supporting small businesses to keep going, especially downtown, which I go often, and many of them have closed. Whatever financial incentives we can give and whatever support we can give them economically to help them keep going. We just have to figure it out and get it done.
Okay. Dick?
Very important question. We have received $529,000 as our share of CARES money. That money is to be used to help people who are suffering because of the COVID situation. We have granted 105 rent assistance programs already, individuals, with 100 on the waiting list. And by the way, the money goes to the landlord, does not go to the renter. That's been a tremendous success. There's 100 more people on the waiting list. I would also point out that the CRA and the city do a wonderful job of promoting downtown businesses and the beach businesses. We've expanded the cafe tables on the beach and downtown so that the businesses have an opportunity to promote outdoor dining, which is the safest way to do it. I think that really answers the question. We will receive a lot more money from an interlocal agreement we have with the county that will be used in part for that same purpose.
All right. And finally, Guy.
Well, as Adam and Dick said, that you have to pull out every stop we have in the city to help these small businesses. The CRA does a great job, but we have to do more to promote the small businesses and help them try to get out of the financial stress they are in. Everyone is going through this during this horrible time of COVID, and we have to just maybe promote the restaurants and who's open and who's dining and what we can do, and anything the city can give them in funds and resources is going to be a great help to any of the small businesses around.
All right. Any rebuttal from Adam?
Yeah, just to go back to that, I know that Broward County got a ton of money for in the CARES Act, and they are going to be doling that out to the different cities, and it's really important that money is used with good discretion and used properly, and it goes to the right people that really need it.
Okay, and Dick.
The $529,000 is our share from the county.
Okay. All right. Yes. Now, I know that there's a question that many people are waiting to hear about. And so I'm not going to ask it yet because it would be very bad form to jump right to that. I want everybody to hear everything. So sit tight. It's coming. People keep texting me. When are you getting to it? The next question comes to us from somebody who has asked to remain anonymous. Now, I did not accept any anonymous questions, but this person provided his name but asked me not to use it because he's involved in some construction and just doesn't, he doesn't want his name on it, and I'm honoring that. He asks, what are your thoughts about the state of our city's building department? To me being him, he's writing, to me, the city seems more concerned with nonsensical code enforcement than enabling residents to get permits in the first place. How would you work to improve this situation? This question is first for Guy, then Adam, and then Dick.
Well, you'd have to really work with the building department, honestly. As a contractor, I know getting permits in Hollywood is very difficult. It took me 5 weeks to get a permit for a 30-foot concrete sidewalk. My neighbor had a fire in March where I live, and I talked to the contractor actually today, just got a drywall permit that took 4 months to get. That is insane, 4 months for a drywall permit. I think some of the smaller stuff we have to just either push through. If you're a contractor and you're going for a small section of sidewalk repair because the homeowner is getting fined, this is something that should just go through. It's not it's not structural. You're not putting up a skyscraper. You're replacing a sidewalk. You should just push some certain things through and not waste people's time in the building department having to go through, because it has to go through all the different departments, zoning, fire, everywhere before you get approval.
All right. Adam, you're next.
I think the way to do that is to modernize the building permit system to digital. I mean, everything needs to just be quicker. Like Guy said, there's no reason for some of these things to take so long. They're using professional contractors and subcontractors that are licensed and insured. Shouldn't have to wait that long. I had a friend that opened a restaurant years ago in downtown Hollywood, a few years ago. Name of it was Ends Meat, and it just took forever for him to get his restaurant open, just small stuff. And I was with him through the whole process. And by the time he got his place open, 8 months after it was supposed to open, he didn't have any float money, and he really didn't last. And I think the city building department especially just has to do a better job. And through modernization, and digitalizing the permit system, I think we can do it.
Okay, Dick.
The building department falls into a category of development services, which includes code and building and engineering and planning. And it's a monstrous organization, and it needs more, it needs help. Absolutely, would never deny that. What we've done is we've spent over $6 million to upgrade our ERP system to provide the platform so that technology can help us instead of being in the way of it. We do virtual inspections now. You were putting in hurricane resistant windows. You can take a picture of it and send it in. We don't send out an inspector. That's a process that's improved. You can get same day service on permits for small things like fences. But I won't deny this is a difficult situation. Every one of those components that I mentioned under development services, there are complaints about how long it takes to get a permit, how long it takes to get an inspection. I get it. It's just going to take a little while longer till our ERP is fully up and we maybe staffed up a little better in some of those departments.
So thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. Guy, and then Adam, if you have any rebuttal.
Well, I think this has been going on for many years. It's not something new in the city. And I'm not sure if online is going to help the process any faster. I mean, it might, so you don't have to sit in the lobby for 3 hours to get in. To get the permit, it may. But we'll have to work on that.
Okay. Adam?
No, I'm good.
All right. So I received an email from Stanley Herzik. Now, he doesn't live in District 4, but he's the president of Classic Townhouses. He's on the south side of Sheridan Street. They share a border with us, and he asked about Sheridan Street, or as he referred to it, the new noisy drag strip in Hollywood. He asked about a lack of traffic enforcement, that people are making illegal turns out of the various entrances and exits of the Publix Plaza, that there are no school zones for the Sheridan Technical School or for the school that's at Temple Soleil, which is directly across the street from the entrance to the Publix entrance, that you have the Memorial outpatient facilities and doctor's offices on Sheridan and 46th running east, the ALF on Sheridan and Park Road, 2 synagogues, and there have been at least 2 deaths as a result of out of control traffic on that street. Stanley Herzik would like to know, what will you do to get the traffic under control on Sheridan Street? We go back to Dick, and then Adam, and then Guy.
I know this sounds like a smart answer, and I don't mean intelligent, but we can't make people intelligent. There are stupid people out there that put their lives and everybody else's lives at risk by speeding and safe driving. 46th and Sheridan is a terrible intersection, and I get it. The traffic signalization is under the control of Broward County, and we're working to improve that all the time. We could put a police officer out there all the time, and it would stop some of those incidents for a period of time. I'm going to take upon myself to get back to Mr. Herzik with the police, and we'll figure out a way to make some sense to him.
All right, I'll forward you his contact info.
Thank you. I wrote down
Adam.
his name. So.
Yes.
Okay, Adam, you're next.
Yes. I disagree with Commissioner Blattner. There are stupid people, but I think we can do something to do something about what they're doing. I'm familiar with a couple of the serious accidents that happened over there on Sheridan and 46. It's an extremely dangerous intersection. You have people walking across that road to get to a synagogue, and people are at the same time speeding to make the light on Sheridan and 46th. I think we have to, yesterday, I don't know why it hasn't been done yet, we have to institute traffic calming measures over there. We do need to bring it attention to the police. And then there's certain times where, we need to know the walking patterns of the people that live in the neighborhood. Someone who goes to Young Israel, I just went, on the holiday, we know there's more people walking then. So on a Saturday, right, then at a certain time, we know people are going to be crossing the street in these dangerous intersections. So we can deal with stupid people.
Time. All right, just to remind you, you have a 10-second grace period once time is up. So I won't shut you down until it says a +10 on the screen. But Guy, you're last.
That's going to be tough. I mean, the most we could do is put out more police. I guess when you drive through certain areas like Golden Beach, slow down because there is a police presence and they are going to pull you over. Or we just have to up the police and maybe start writing a little bit more tickets and have, radar on that road a little more often. And like Adam said, on Saturday, there are people going to the temple, that we should have more police on those days. And as for Sheridan Technical, I mean, I don't think we really need a speed limit. I mean, if they should be able to cross the street, I mean, it's not like elementary school or high school. They're already graduates. But the only thing I think we really can do is just add more police presence and maybe start writing more tickets.
Okay. Rebuttals. Dick first and then Adam.
No, I'm fine.
Adam?
Yeah, no, I would just agree that we definitely need more police presence, especially on those days where we know thousands of our community members are walking. A lot of them can't push the buttons to cross the street because we don't do that on certain holidays and on the Sabbath. And we should be able to focus more police attention on those dangerous intersections and those dangerous roads.
Okay. I just want the people who are texting me and emailing me to know I have 2 more questions. And then we get to that one. And then a final question. Do you have a plan? And this comes from Steve Newman in Emerald Hills. Do you have a plan to make repairs and improvements to the Mara Berman Galanti Park, the Emerald Hills Tot Lot, and other neighborhood parks in the district that are in need of repairs and improvements? This question is first for Guy, and then Dick, and then Adam.
Well, I'd like to see some of the GO bond be funneled into the parks in our district. I know there was only one park, Anderson, that received any of the funds, and all the other parks were neglected. Until actually one of us would be in office, we would have to see how we can now go back and try to get funds to improve these parks. Because I know I have young kids and I go to the parks and I understand we had a bench broken and ours was fairly new and it just sat there and they put cones on the poles where it broke off. So, I mean, I think we just need to see where we can get the funds from and get them into there and just upgrade these, because we do have a young community with a lot of kids and children that do use these parks.
Okay. Dick?
Well, if it wasn't for COVID, MGB Park would already be under repair. It was not included in the general obligation bond, but the city committed $250,000, which is about the same amount of money that we're spending in every other park for the update. The problem was we didn't have a chance with COVID to have a public meeting to find out how the people who use the park wanted to be re-equipped. So that commitment for $250,000 is still there. I don't think there's any money for the park in the lakes, but that doesn't mean we can't find money throughout the year. If there's any parks and recreation money available, we can use it for that. But I know the big question is Mara Berman Galati Park. So I'm still working on it. The money has been committed. As soon as we can have public meetings, we'll meet with the community and see what they want to do there.
Okay. And finally, Adam.
Yeah. So, I mean, my understanding is there's been no money in the general budget towards Marinolani Park. I didn't see that $250,000 allocated for that. The general obligation, the GO bond that was passed in March 2019, really strikes a nerve for me because our district basically got nothing. And if you look at what the other districts got, they received a ton of money for their parks. We only got $255,000 for Anderson. That's fantastic. But Marigolani Park is an abomination. There's been no money allocated to that park for years. The awning is riddled with mold. You know, everything is dated, and you know it should have been done a long time ago. So we got nothing for that. Guy can attest that the park in the lakes. I mean, that basketball court hasn't been resurfaced in what, 20 years? I mean, I went and played. It's horrible. So what I would do with the general obligation money, the $1 million for that wall, I would put it towards our parks and landscaping.
All right. And any rebuttal first from Guy and then from Dick?
Well, I know the $1 million was between two districts for the walls. And I think we should plant aurora palms instead of a wall. It would save a lot of money and it would do the same purpose. I think the money should be spent for the community and for the different parks throughout our district.
Thank you. And Dick?
Well, it's okay.
All right.
I guess I would just say this. Everybody that's on this panel today has lived in the city for a long time. And frankly, with all due respect, I'm not hearing anybody complaining or bringing these issues up except today. So I would encourage all of us to speak up when they see something that's wrong and bring it to our attention. If it's not me, somebody else, or any other commissioner, and let's get it fixed.
All right. April Krawiecki in Emerald Hills writes, I understand that there are considerable funds from our property taxes going into the public school system, including brand new facilities, air conditioning, paint, and a new roof for the Hollywood Hills High School. However, many families in the district currently send their children to private schools. What are your views on tax credits, such as a reduction in property taxes or any credits for that matter, to be offered to these families who are not utilizing the public school system? This question is for Adam first, and then Guy, and then Dick.
Well, I think we actually do get some of those programs in the step up programs that we have. I know a lot of my friends utilize those to send their kids to private schools, you know, and I do sympathize, you know, if you're paying taxes and a ton of it goes to schools, and your kids aren't going to those schools, why should we take it? But, you know, our public schools, they need work. They're not good public schools. Good public schools contribute to higher property values. And, you know, we'd have to be very careful when we start taking away from our public schools. You know, I would take a look at it, but it's tough to take that stuff away. So with the Step Up for Kids program and different things out there, you know, we're able to get our kids into private schools and get some help.
All right, Guy, you're next.
Well, as Adam said, the Step Up program is a good way to start, but unfortunately, you just can't take a tax break because you send your kids to private school or out of our district or out of our city altogether. That would, people who don't even have kids or their kids are graduated and are grown are still paying the school taxes. But that's what makes our community strong. It's what makes our community, people want to come here. We have to actually do have to work on our educational system. And I know that's part of Broward County's criteria, but we have to work closely with them and try to improve our school system. So you don't have to send your kids to private school and you don't have to ship them out to another city, to Cooper City or anywhere else that is an A-rated school. And if we have to merge some schools together because the attendance isn't so great, then we'll have to start thinking about, as they already are, putting K through 12 instead of leaving half the school empty.
Okay.
And good.
Dick.
Well, I'm very excited about this question. And I hope that I don't insult anybody by my answer, but the fact is that if our schools were better, you wouldn't be sending your kids to private schools. Now, that's not universal. I get it. I understand it. But people send their kids to other schools beside public because they're not happy with the public schools. We have very little influence in this, but our commission, I got to give us credit, and the mayor, especially for his leadership. We have met with the county school board, every individual on there, as well as the superintendent, and we have asked for more attention. We have asked for K through 8 schools. We have had support from the community, and the school board turned us down. We're going to have to keep trying. there's an election coming up in November. We have a school board member running from Hollywood who actually would represent the whole county, but she lives in Hollywood. She teaches at South Broward High School. We need her voice on the commission to accomplish what you all have said we need to do.
Okay. And for any rebuttals, Adam first and then Guy.
Just to reiterate, a lot of what April said with regards to, the money coming out of her taxes towards public school and they're not using that money. I do support vouchers, and I'm a proponent of that. So that does help offset that type of stuff, and it gives people the choice. I do agree with Commissioner Blattner that we have to make our schools better, and some people will participate. But I think, people sending their kids to private schools for religious reasons, I don't think as many people will participate as you think.
Okay. And Guy?
Oh, I'm good.
Okay. The moment everybody's been waiting for. I'm going to put a little more time on the clock. I'm going to give everybody a minute and a half because simply this seems to be the hot button question of the day. I'll bet the candidates have no idea what question I'm about to ask. So I'll just build up the suspense a little bit. I've asked you 9 questions so far this evening, and you've answered them in pretty good time. So we're doing very well on time. But for each of those 9 questions, I got this question about 4 or 5 times. So I got between like 45 or more times that people emailed me this very question. So I'm taking all of these emails that I received and I'm kind of lumping them together for you. This is going to be for Dick first, and then for Guy, and then for Adam. And the question is regarding the redevelopment of the Emerald Hills Country Club, the golf course redevelopment proposal that is being presented to the city. So I'm going to ask it to you as a 3.5-part question. The first part is, what have each of you done so far to learn about what the details of this proposal are? Because if you only listen to the lobbyists, you will not get the complete picture. So number one, what have you done until now to listen to learn about what the details of the proposal are? Based on what you've learned, where do you stand regarding this proposed redevelopment? And if you're in support of it, what is your plan to help push it through? If you're against it, what will you do to make sure that it does not move forward? We begin with Commissioner Blattner.
Well, yes, that is the elephant in the room. The first part of the question was, what have I learned? I have met with the developer numerous times and reviewed the plan that he submitted, which basically has not changed on paper, but it has changed in his mind and as a result of things that he's discussed with members of the community and certainly myself. And I'm trying to stay focused and up to date on his plans. Where do I stand? That's really the most important part of this. So I'll take the other 56 seconds to tell you this. My job as a city commissioner and my colleagues' jobs as city commissioners and the mayor's job as a city commissioner is to look at every project that comes forward and ask ourselves the question, how could this be better? If it can be better and it meets those goals as described in the comprehensive plan that the mayor so eloquently pointed out a few weeks ago, then the vote will be reflective of that. If it doesn't meet the plan, if it isn't better than what was originally proposed, then it probably won't pass. So my answer to your question is, where do I stand? Is I stand continuing to study and look at the plan, and until it gets to the planning and development board and then to the commission, I don't have to make a decision. I don't have enough information, and most of the public doesn't either.
All right, thank you very much. And Guy, you're next.
Well, I've talked to a lot of the residents in the area, and it seems like everybody's against it. Between the blocking their view And then having apartment complexes in a neighborhood setting, it's just gonna, people will be moving in and out throughout the year contracts, year leases. It's just too much for the community with the noise, with the lighting, they just don't want it. They think it's gonna take down the value of their house, on top of which they don't want the extra traffic and or the extra infrastructure that's not actually working properly as it is. Where I stand right now, Emerald Hills or the golf course is a semi-private, and everybody keeps saying, golf is of the past. But if you try to book a tee time, you can't get one because they're always booked. My kids take lessons there, and if it's nice that the developer wants to go in and redo the clubhouse, which would be beautiful. But as I'm told, or as I understand, the membership rates are going to go through the roof. And I don't know if we have that development that's going to pay that type of money to go to these facilities. And the people in the area aren't going to use the facility. So it's nice he's going to put tennis courts, a pool, and everything else, but it's only going to be for members if you can even get members. You would kill the entire golf course, I think, with this development. And you're taking away green space. And you know what? Where I stand is I'm with the people, and I don't think that really the people want it, the majority of them.
All right. Perfect. Right on the 10-second leeway. And finally, Adam.
So I said right from the beginning of this, if I come in as a commissioner and I have a vote on this, I'm doing that as a public servant, and I will put personal feelings aside and I will go with the sentiment of the community. And over the last 4 or 5 months, I have walked this district. I've walked hundreds of miles. I've spoken to tons of residents. And the overwhelming majority of them are against this project. I've studied the project. I haven't met with the developer. I plan on meeting with the developer. I studied it the same way most people did. I watched the Zoom, and I was left with something that wasn't very transparent. I also, after getting to speak to a lot of people and gauging that the overall sentiment of the community is against it, I did some research. The county master plan is very specific when it comes to redeveloping golf courses, in that you need to set aside other land to provision for parks that will benefit the surrounding neighborhood. I don't see that in the plan. The city strategic plan is very specific, that they want communication and civic engagement. I don't think that's happened here. I think what I would tell to the developer is that, engage with the community, make changes that the county and the city need to see, and if you get the overwhelming sentiment of the community behind this, it's something I would consider. As proposed, it's not something I could vote for.
Okay. And now we do still have the 1 minute for rebuttal, starting with Dick.
I have no rebuttal.
Okay. Guy?
If it's something the community could stand behind and they would want to redevelop, but as I'm talking to everyone, they don't want apartment buildings that are 3 to 5, 6 stories high, blocking their view, taking up the green space. And I honestly can't blame them, because if I bought on the golf course for that view for $500,000, $600,000, or even the condos, I wouldn't want my view blocked, especially by an apartment building. Maybe a nice townhouse community that's upper end. I mean, Emerald Hills was built as the upper of Hollywood when it was created. And I think we should just keep it classy. And I think we need the green space, and the golf course is a beautiful place for families to enjoy.
All right. Well, this concludes all of the prepared questions that I have for you, except for one. And it's a trick question. It's not fair, but I'm going to ask it anyway. You'll by the time I ask it, you'll know I don't need to tell you that this question is coming from me directly. Based on the rotation that we've been doing until now, this is going to be for Adam first, and then Dick, and then Guy. I would like you to each please close, before we get to your closing statements, by telling us all a joke. let's
Oh, my.
end on a light note. I'd like you to each tell a joke because I've been to commission meetings, and I'm gonna talk for a second to give you time to think. I've been to commission meetings. I know how boring they can be. I know people get up to speak and you just don't want to hear what everybody has to say. So we need to lighten it up a little bit. Adam, you're first. Please share a joke.
Oh, wow, you're putting me on the spot. That's one thing I didn't have prepared. um, just to lighten the mood, I've watched a ton of the commission meetings over the last, or most of them over the last 6 to 8 months. And Avi, I'm with you. There needs to be some levity in there. It's serious business, but it's nice to smile every once in a while. I don't have a specific joke for you. I didn't prepare it off the cuff. And if I think of one, I'll try to give you one later.
All right. Well, you will have your closing remarks. You got a whole 2 minutes there. Guy, I'm sorry. Dick, you're next.
Well, people have said I don't have a sense of humor. I guess I'm going to prove it tonight. But one of my early elections, Ron Gunsberger, who was actually was helping me, I think, in the campaign, when he was asked about me, he said, Blattner needs a charisma transplant. So I think that probably is true.
All right. So your joke, you went with the self-deprecating humor.
Yes, that's good.
And Guy, finally you.
I wish I was my grandfather. He could riddle one half after the other. I honestly can't even think of one, right? You put us on the spot with a joke. I'd love to lighten up the mood, but I am so sorry. I can't even think one right now. Think of one.
All right. Well, as I mentioned at the beginning, I am not able to fact check or add my own opinions to the mix, so I will not be helping you out with this. However, we are up to your closing remarks. What you'd like to leave us with. You'll have 2 minutes each. We're going to start with Guy, and then Adam, and then Dick. And Guy, take it away.
Well, I've been a part of Hollywood, as you know, for the past 18 years, actually even longer, if you want to consider all the rental communities I've been in. I love this city. I wouldn't dream of going anywhere else. I mean, we have everything. We have a great downtown. Our beaches, the beaches are the best. My kids love going there. We always go to the beaches and eat at all the restaurants on the beaches. I just wanted to be part of this this community, and that's why I'm running for commissioner, because I just want to give back. I ran for I'm on the Marine Advisory Board for Hollywood, and it's just been a great honor. And I've learned so much in reference to just working and dealing with different people and the things that the city is trying to do and that we're going to be doing. And I just really wanted to thank everyone for Avi, your members, for inviting and creating this town hall for all of us to get together. And I just hope you vote for me, honestly. And I just really want to give back.
All right. Adam?
Well, I wanted to start or finish by wishing everybody a happy new year. Avi, when you reached out like in February to plan this, who would have thought what the next 8 months of our lives were going to be? And here we are in a Zoom setting, having a candidate forum, and kudos to you for sticking through it and preparing and getting everything done. And I appreciate you having us and having this. I just want to let everyone know I have a real personal connection to Hollywood and this community. I mean, my mother, Steve Kurzer, and Liz Browser and Morel Ehrenstein of memory. They were founders of Browser Maimonides Academy. They found the land, they got it started, and I have a deep connection here. And it's important to me that our city, Hollywood as a whole, and our district especially, get pointed in the right direction. For the last 15, 20 years, it's kind of been going downhill with regards to the curb appeal and the safety. And I feel like the current administration is kind of not really gauging the needs of the community. And it's a changing community. This is a changing population. If elected, I'm going to dedicate the time to the needs of our neighborhood and our residents. And I'm going to do that through different safety enhancement things. I'm going to do that by focusing attention on our sidewalks, our parks, our landscaping, and all the stuff we spoke about here tonight. And, I just want to thank again everybody for having me, and I would love your vote. If anybody wants to get involved, if anybody has questions for me, my phone's on all the time, 954-881-6212, 954-881-6212, or go to my website at voteadamgruber.com. My slogan, your city, your voice, your vote. What the community wants, that's what I plan on delivering. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And Commissioner.
Thank you, Avi, for all your hard work tonight. I first of all want to thank the Young Israel congregation, specifically Rabbi Weinstock, my friend Rabbi Davis, my friend Riva in the office. I love you guys, and you're an important part of our community. Guy, I got to tell you, your business website is just terrific. I learned a lot from it. I did a good job on that, and I'm really glad you served on the Marine Advisory Board. It's important that candidates for an election demonstrate their commitment to the city by participating on boards and committees, and thank you for that. I think that my answers tonight are a demonstration of my experience and my knowledge and my dedication to the city and my interest in the city. People have voted for me and elected me 4 straight times. And they wouldn't do that if they didn't think I did a good job and they weren't confident in what I do. I believe they will do that again this year. Mail-in voting starts next week. And if you'll look on my signs, I've tried to make the most prominent thing other than my name, vote early. So I encourage all of you to vote early, and thank you for your support.
All right. I like it that you gave a compliment to Guy. I know that the real reason for that is that you go to the same barber and that you have that kindred
look good,
spirit
Dick.
there. But
Your time will come, Avi.
Thank you. Thank you to the candidates, all of you, for participating tonight. This has been fun. I've never moderated a town hall before, but then again, I've never done a lot of the jobs that I end up doing in these days of COVID. You mentioned Riva Homnick. I'd also like to thank Riva because I am sitting at Riva's desk right now. And that's because the internet was a little wonky in my house and I wanted to make sure everything would work out. But thank you for being with us. Thank you to all the viewers that were with us. I know that we had we've had in the hundreds of viewers throughout the evening. And I'm just taking a look to see if there were any questions that were posed that I missed, but there were not. And so thank you everyone for joining us. If you watch this tonight, it means that you care about what happens in our city, you care what happens in our district, and that makes you the kind of people that we want to have living here and working here and loving this community. So no matter who you vote for, vote. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here tonight. Have a great night, everyone. Thank you.
Thanks, Avi.
Thank you, Avi.